Welcome to Knife Thoughts. This video is going to be on this knife, and if you like knives, you probably know what this knife is. This is the Ontario Knife Company Rat Model 1. And so this is a knife that everybody and their brother's best friend have reviewed. It's not a new knife. There's nothing particularly special about this particular version of this knife. It is kind of the classic version of this knife. So the reason why I am doing a video on it now is because, one, I realized that I hadn't done a normal review. I did do a video about a Rat 1 where the washers had self-shredded themselves, and I just hadn't done an actual review. But then the other reason is because of the current kind of situation surrounding Ontario Knife Company. So the Rat Model 1 is a classic EDC folding knife. It is one of the most recommended knives, or was one of the most recommended knives, when someone wanted a budget folding knife. Now, there is also the Model 2, or the Rat 2, which is a smaller version, and probably for a lot of people, the version that they would go with as an EDC knife. This is a relatively big knife. I'll show you a couple quick comparisons here to a Benchmade full-size Griptilian. And you can see the Model 1 is a little longer. It's definitely a larger knife, and I'll give you a comparison to a Spyderco Native 5, which is a smaller, more EDC size knife for a lot of people. And you can see that the Rat 1 is a good bit bigger than the Spyderco. So it is a larger knife, and there is a smaller version, but for me, the Rat 1 is the one that I have always gone with. I actually have never had a Model 2. Probably should get one just to try it out, but I haven't yet because I like this size. And it's one of the most recommended knives because it is really straightforward. You have a classic drop point blade, thumb studs for opening it. You have a pretty nice simple handle that's pretty ergonomic. You get a good guard. You can, kind of scooch forward if you want to get a closer grip to the blade, but a pretty ergonomic handle. And they were really consistently made. So they're normally pretty nice and smooth. You can see that this one is smooth. This one is well centered, and they often are. They often lock up well. This one flips open nicely, locks up well, maybe about 60-70% for the lockup there. And it's just a well-made, very simple, very useful knife. And the thing is that it's probably less commonly suggested these days. There's just a lot of really good budget options on the market now. For a long time, this knife was, you could get it for $20. I remember, I think I bought this one for $21 or something like that a while back. Now they're more in the $27 to $35 range. And, that's normal. Everything has gone up in price. But there are a lot of really nice budget knives now. For example, Civivi and Sencut even have some really, really nice knives. Now, they're not typically in the $30 range, more in the $40 to $60 range, something like that for Sencut, and $50 to $100 range for Civivi. And there are other brands out there, certainly, that are in, kind of that same range. But it's just, not quite the hot thing anymore, not as commonly recommended. But I still think that it's a worthy knife, and I think it's one that if you don't have one, it wouldn't hurt to get if you have the funds available for it. Now, part of the reason for that, like I mentioned, I believe at the beginning of this video, is the fact that Ontario Knife Company was sold to Blue Ridge Knives. And so Blue Ridge Knives is a large distributor of knives. They distribute to a lot of the dealers and are kind of throughout the industry. And I wrote an article on that sale and actually retracted it because there was basically some incorrect assumptions that I made. And I hate to do that, so I did retract that article. But since then, I have asked, Blue Ridge Knives if they had any kind of like official announcement about what their plans were with Ontario Knife Company. And I think I asked maybe 3 times and haven't gotten anything yet. I know that some, YouTube content creators, whatever you want to call it, knife people, have kind of gotten more information than I have about the the plans that Blue Ridge Knives has for Ontario Knife Company. But either way, I haven't heard anything specific, and I think that, you know, this is a knife that hopefully will continue to be made, but, you know, you would assume so, being that it is a successful model, but you don't know. And it's one that, you know, again, around $30, it's not going to break the bank. It's a classic knife in the kind of pantheon of folding knives, of, you know, recent folding knives. The Rat Model 1 is definitely one that is a classic, you know, kind of Hall of Fame for being a great budget knife and one of the most commonly recommended. So I definitely suggest it. I have used them a lot. This one I haven't used as much. I have had other ones that I've really used a lot. And honestly, even just making this video, I'm pretty sure I'm going to get myself a Model 2 just to see what it's all about, to see if it's something that you know, works for me. The Model 1 is a great fit for my hand. Again, classic blade shape. Really nicely ground normally too. It's another thing, that this knife was nice and thinly ground at a time when a lot of knives, especially budget knives, were not, you know, ground very well for slicing. So definitely a classic budget-friendly EDC knife that I recommend checking out. I don't think that they will stop being made anytime soon, but again, no real solid information as far as I'm aware of about the future of Ontario Knife Company out there right now. So I think from people that I've talked to about Blue Ridge Knives, from the kind of interactions I've had with Blue Ridge Knives, I think that they probably are going to try to, you know, make Ontario Knife Company more successful, make it, you know, more established, and hopefully not cut the jobs like was initially announced. But it sounds like that announcement might have been a little bit hasty, and coming from kind of another side of the story there. So hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully they keep the factory in Franklinville up and running. But either way, I think it's worth picking up a Rat Model 1 and probably a Rat Model 2 too, if you are interested in a smaller knife. So I just wanted to make a video about this knife that, again, there's a lot of videos out there on this knife, but I thought I'd just make a quick one on my thoughts. So if you've enjoyed it, make sure you give it a thumbs up. You can leave comments below if you have any more information on the situation with Ontario Knife Company. I would love to know. Make sure you check out my website, knifethoughts.com, where I post articles on knives like this and knife-related topics, and subscribe by email so that you know when I post new articles. And last but not least, as always, don't forget to go out and do good.